There's an ancient mystery that floats about the village of Haven Hollow. Villagers tend to revisit this mystery at times when there's a general lack of hope in the village. When people feel a little grim about the future or the present. The villagers tell this mysterious tale in all sorts of ways, and honestly, they've got the facts all wrong. But the essence of this mystery revolves around the hopeful magic of a very old lantern, a somewhat mysterious lantern keeper, and a bit of fairy magic, of course. So let's set the record straight, shall we? Now first, it's important to remind you that the village of Haven Hollow runs on fairy magic. And while that magic is always accessible, it's very much amplified by the light-filled spirits of the villagers who dwell therein. It's important they use the magic to keep it circulating, you see. And when the villagers' lights seem dim, hope is low, the future looks grim, the fairy magic doesn't operate as magically, you know? That's where this ancient lantern comes in. No one knows where it originated, and that's okay, because that's not the point of the story. The mystery is the light itself. See, when the villagers find their own lights running dim, all they gotta do is visit the lantern keeper, who is assigned to attend to the lantern, and he relights their sparks. It's quite convenient, really. The thing that no one can figure out is how the lantern keeper keeps the lantern so bright. In all these years, it's never once gone out. Of course, the Hollow is not light on gossip. There's been all sorts of speculation about what might keep this ancient lantern glowing. Some say the lantern isn't actually ancient, and the keepers are secretly replacing it when it does go out. Others are saying that the lantern keepers themselves are passing down some sort of special magic to keep it bright. Tonight, the lantern keeper is retiring and passing the flame down to the next keeper, and we're just in time to attend the event, so let's hurry along. If you venture off to Haven Hollow and take a few paces out of the town center, you'll find the old willow tree. If you enter through the little portal in the trunk of the old willow, you'll find the home of the Lantern Keeper. It's here you can always visit if you find your own light is running dim, and it's here that the new Lantern Keeper is accepting the mantle of this ancient lantern. The young new keeper steps through the willow's portal, and her slightly shaking hand reaches out as the retiring Lantern Keeper extends the ancient lantern, and the room is filled with the magic of its enchanting glow. Now, you'd expect the old guy to give some advice to the new Lantern Keeper, but he's retiring. He just wants to go golf. So he hands off the lantern, scurries out to the meadow, and the new Lantern Keeper is left alone with this ancient mysterious task. She holds the lantern, investigates its light, finds nothing too mysterious or out of place. It seems to be just another lantern. But she's got to figure out how its magic works, and quickly. So she sits in the designated ancient lantern-keeping chair and waits for her first wavering light to arrive. But time goes by without a visitor. And then a longer time goes by without a visitor. And the longer the time goes, the dimmer the lantern seems to become. And then panic sets in because, oh my goodness, it's the first night and she's going to single-handedly put out this ancient light in the course of an evening. The minutes tick by and the panic turns to anger because why didn't the previous lantern guy give her any pointers? And why was she even chosen for this task to begin with? She clearly doesn't have the magic required to operate the thing. The anger simmers. Frustration sets in, fear fills her breaths, she paces, she stares at the lantern, willing it to glow, but it's dwindling to a flicker. The anxiety grows until she hears a soft crackle. Her eyes shoot to the lantern that is bubbling back to life. Her frustration lessens a little, a sliver of hope returns, and the lantern becomes a roaring flame just as a firefly enters the willow tree. The friendly little firefly approaches the lantern, and his flickering light sparks alive. He gives a buzz of gratitude and heads back out to light the night. The lantern keeper sighs in relief and slinks back into her chair because at least the first visit went well. The lantern seems bright enough, and perhaps she'll figure things out after all. The evening flows on. The lantern dims once again, reviving just before her second visitor approaches. This time, the visitor is a small cloud who comes in search of the silver lining she's lost and hopes to restore it before the big sunrise in a few hours. Word has it she gets to play the part of the lead cloud in this morning's performance. She approaches the lantern, sparks her silver lining, and floats dreamily back out into the dawning sky. The pattern continues as a soft stream of villagers come through the night to restore their lights. There's a lady from the village whose lantern feels dark in the search of her one true love. A jack-o'-lantern has been forgotten on the porch for a few too many months and wants light in his life again.
A fairy even stops by. She brings a string of fairy lights that she found on clearance, and then discovered that the bulbs were bad, and then after a little rant about a bad return policy, she lights her bulbs again and flies away.
With the sunrise lifting and the sunshine warming the village, it seems there aren't many villagers in search of sparks at this hour. So as before, the lantern begins to fade. At this point, the lantern keeper accepts the inevitable, understanding now that maybe she can't do much to control its light, because apparently it's a very volatile, ancient, magical lantern. But this time, it doesn't fade to a flicker, nor a spark, nor an ember. This time, the lantern goes completely dark. The keeper grows concerned, to say the least. Because, not to be dramatic, but this is the ancient magical lantern. This is the lantern that keeps hope and sparks and light alive and circulating in the village. This is the lantern that all the villagers rely upon when their own lights grow dim, and she has no idea how to get it lit again. The anger is back, the frustration, this time with a sprinkle of overwhelm, 'cause what in tarnation is she gonna do to fix it? The lantern clearly has a life of its own. It ebbs and flows, and luckily it has always sparked alive just before the villagers arrive for its light. She slowly opens her eyes and squints into the soul of the dang lantern, because perhaps it's not luck that sparks the light in time for the villagers. Unbeknownst to them, the villagers themselves might be doing something to keep it lit. The lantern keeper peers out from her willow to look over the village, searching for any approaching villagers to test her theory. She finds none, but feels somehow certain that they'll return eventually. I mean, they always do. That's how the villages run in the past, and lights have always been relit, and the ancient lantern has always existed. She sighs her fears at the door and enters the willow. But as she returns to the lantern, she finds its light glowing again. Something about its glow reminds her of her first time visiting the lantern when she was young, and difficult math problems at school had left her feeling dark. As she wandered home from school, all she wanted was to curl up and escape into her book, but since her light was so dim she couldn't see the pages, she set out to visit the lantern keeper and watched as her candle's flame even began to brighten as she stood in line with the other villagers. She reached the ancient lantern and breathed in its magic instantly, lighting her candle, filling her lungs, lifting the heaviness. She protected her candle's flame on her walk to begin her book, eagerness in each soft step. Of course, she wasn't suddenly able to solve all the math problems at school the next day, but she felt her motivation return and the overwhelm lifted. As she relives her memory, her current light feels refreshed. Even her younger self was able to seek for light and set out on a seemingly dark journey and find purpose and the resilience to try again. Surely she can do the same, even if the stakes are a bit higher this time around. The days pass with a steady rhythm of visitors, some arriving alone, others in small, sleepy groups. She follows their rhythm and tends to the flame, focusing on keeping it lit for just the current day. As her trust in the lantern grows, she finds it dimming less and less, and never fully going out again. She releases the anger she felt toward the old lantern keeper as something tells her the job of the lantern keeper is less the skill of tending to the lantern and more a skill of learning to trust that the lantern's light will always exist, because the villagers will always search for it. A mirror reflecting and amplifying their existing sparks rather than the source of them. She relaxes once again into her designated ancient lantern-keeping chair as her trust turns to peace, and she finds warmth in the lantern's steady, glowing flame.